In this world, humans are no longer at the top of the food chain. The creatures known as insectors hide amongst them, using their supernatural insectal powers to prey upon humans. Miziang, a seemingly ordinary high school student, is also secretly an insector. But unlike others of his kin, he directs his powers not at humans, but at insectors instead. Will he maintain control over his abilities and use them for the good of mankind, or will he succumb to the monster within him? The story begins with a pretty girl running away from two shady people, calling for help. The boys smirk on finally catching their prey. The girl is cornered against the wall and begs for anyone to rescue her. Suddenly, a person steps in, telling them to stop it. The boys wonder who this kid is and tell him to move along. However, the kid keeps eating his chocolate and tells them to run if they don't want to die. The boys think that this kid has some guts to challenge them. While the kid removes his bandage, ants crawl out of a hole in his neck. While the bully shouts at him, he suddenly sees his friend dead on the ground. The bully wonders what just happened, and when he looks behind, he sees a creature devouring his friend. The lady they were chasing away turns into a creature. The bully runs away while the boy stands still, with some black substance covering his body. The lady wonders if those are black ants. Later, the area where the incident took place was sealed. A person from Bug Reaper Cooperation takes a picture of the scene. This place looks more like a war zone instead of a crime scene. All that's left is an adult male's amputated lower body and right forearm. They wonder who could cause such destruction. According to the survivor, a boy intervened just before the creature attacked. The man notices an ant eating candy that was left after. The man leaves the scene while putting on a cigarette. He blows up the smoke onto a mosquito, thus killing it. In this world, monsters resembling insects came into the world after the first sighting in 2005. These creatures kill humans and devour them, but the most frightening part is that they live hidden among us. They call themselves insectors. A girl gets up from her seat and asks her teacher if those are just urban legends. She reads the letter explaining that insectors are real and if they suspect someone, they should contact authorities immediately. The teacher thanks her for reading the letter from Bug Reaper. The teacher says that authorities believe it to be related to insectors when they heard about the last night's murder. He advises them to move in groups and don't stray off. Bang asks Era if that's the same place she lives in and Era asks her if she could walk home with her today. A boy asks if he believes in insectors and other replies he does. They suspect they even got one in their class too, the boy with a bandage named Miziang. The teacher then asks if they did their homework as it will count in their grades. He asks Era to collect it from everyone after class and she obliges. After the class, some boys tell Era not to submit her homework. They say no one has done the homework and they should stay in unity. However, she declines their request. The boy starts making a fuss about it while Bang defends Era. Suddenly, Miziang interrupts their conversation and hands her his homework. Era happily takes the homework. Miziang then sits down on his seat and sees an ant crawling on his notebook. He looks at the ant and tries to guide it with his finger. However, the bully stomps the ant along with his notebook. Only the ant's corpse remains with its juice splattered. The boy screams at Miziang, asking if he doesn't know how to read the room. He also asks why he always wears a bandage on his neck. Does he have a hickey? The boys say he must have a girlfriend, while Era asks what a hickey means. Bang explains that it's a mark when someone kisses a person for real good. Era, on understanding what it means, tells them to stop troubling Miziang. But the bullies say he isn't resisting. The bully began to rip it off, saying it would be a grand reveal. When they finally remove it, they see a big mole. He grabs Miziang's shirt in frustration, asking if he wears it every day just to cover a mole. Suddenly, he sees an ant crawl out of it, and it hides under his clothes. The bully gets horrified upon seeing it. He backs away, asking how could that be possible. Bang, on seeing Era's face, asks if she likes Miziang, but she tries to deny it. However, deep down Era loves Miziang very much. He's athletic, smart, and above all, he has a huge appetite. How can anyone not like him? Bang asks why she's hugging the assignment paper, doesn't she have to submit it? Later, Era goes to the teacher's lounge and hands him over the assignment. The teacher sees that only 2 assignments are submitted and calls the rest punks. Era asks if something's wrong, but the teacher says that she and Miziang can go home after school. She should tell the rest of the students that they have to stay and clean up the incineration area. While walking back, Era thinks that those boys will throw a fit again. She should also help Bang as she can't go home alone. She wonders if she should ask Miziang to walk with her as he lives nearby. Suddenly, she spots Miziang putting on his bandage. He notices Era and she explains that everyone who didn't submit homework has to stay after school. So, she was wondering if he could go home with her. However, Miziang apologizes to her. He walks away while explaining he has some plans after school. At the incinerator, the bullies complain about why they need to do this and curse their teacher. Bang tells them to cut the crap and finish the work quickly, so they can go home. She also asks Era why didn't she leave. Era, while crying, says she was waiting for her. Era explains that Miziang rejected her offer. As for Miziang, he's sitting in the classroom alone. He draws a line and an ant follows it. At the incinerator, Bang asks if she is about to ditch her to walk with him. The bully from earlier explains that an ant crawled out from Miziang's neck while his friend didn't believe it. They talk about him losing a screw in his head while walking towards a corner. Suddenly, they both froze in fear when they saw an insector in front of them, demanding homework. He kills the boy and his blood splatters on his friend. The head rolls near the girl brooming that place, and she becomes terrified on seeing it. She screams in fear and other students wonder what happened over there. She starts running away, saying an insector has invaded their school. A giant golem-like insector comes out from hiding while demanding homework. Other students, on witnessing another murder, start running for their life. The golem smashes more students and everyone runs in fear. Suddenly, it leaps into the air and kills multiple students on its way. Era and Bang are running for their life too. Suddenly, the glasses guy grabs Bang and shoves her behind as a meat shield. She smacks her head against the rock and Era stops for her. She holds her in hand, begging for her to get up. Soon enough, the monster approaches them, demanding homework. Era, with her life on the line, begs him to go away. Suddenly, he starts opening up his head and asks if didn't he tell her to go home. Era cries and wonders how could their teacher be an insector. He screams at her, asking why she didn't listen to him. When he was about to smash her, ants came in and sliced both of his hands. Era wonders what just happened, and when she looks back, she sees an insector, in a black suit. The girl becomes unconscious and the black ant saves her. The golem recognizes him and says he's the kinslayer. However, the black ant stares into his soul. Golem asks why he kills their kind. Also, why is he fighting to protect humans? They are the ones at the top of the food chain, they evolved to be superior to all life forms. Then why is he protecting the weakling? However, Ant doesn't give a response and punches Golem. The punch is powerful enough to send the golem through walls and he carries the girls later. He reflects on the thought of protecting humans. However, he's just hunting for food. Ant comes back and Golem asks if he eats his own kind too. However, he shouldn't think he could be defeated so easily. He turns into a meatball and rolls towards Ant and he does his best to stop him, but slides away, and blasts through the chains behind. Ant does his best to get up and Golem says he doesn't need hands to fight him. He turns into a meatball and leaps into the air. He then slams down on Ant and he coughs up black liquid on impact, and Golem starts doing it multiple times. Soon, Ant lies on the ground shattered by him. Golem says he's quite good at taking beating and Ant tells him to get ready. He lunges at Ant, exclaiming it's time for him to die. He slams on the ground, spreading dust all around. When the dust clears, Golem says he killed him this time. However, it's the Golem who got stabbed by Ant's attack. He curses him for hiding a weapon all the time. Ant says it doesn't matter anyway and proceeds to withdraw the ants from his legs. He uses those ants to make his hands bigger. Using his enhanced power, he punches the Golem, sending him flying away. He then grabs Golem and slams him on the ground. Golem can't believe that he holds such immense power. Ant then picks him up and he begs him to let go. However, Ant opens his mouth to feast on him, and Golem says he doesn't want to end up like a loser again. Nonetheless, he crushes the Golem and walks away like a Chad. The ants from his body disperse to feast on the Golem. Behind the tree a female insector watches him. Soon enough the ambulance arrives and takes away the dead. The man from Bug Reaper smokes and says they are late again. Another man says they came all geared up for a fight. He considers it to be a total mess and concludes that a fight broke out between two insects. He asks the reason for fighting each other. The man remembers the explanation from a previous incident that a kid came to rescue them. So, he believes this insector is fighting to protect. His words are cut short by an employee saying that the student who saw the insector is awake. They are saying, a person in a black suit saved them. The media reporter comes in and takes an interview with the glasses guy. He says that unfortunately not everyone survived, but he called Bug Reaper immediately. He also took some photos and would like to show them as well. However, all of his photos just become distorted and he can't understand anything. The employee of Bug Reaper says there was no camera, so they couldn't know the real identity of that insector. He asks if he should scram the reporter. However, the man says he should leave them be. People need to hear such things. The man says people don't believe it until they see it themselves. Era was talking on her phone when the man approached and she quickly hung up. Era asks the man not to smoke in school and the other man apologizes, stating that he's a heavy smoker. The man explains that it's not cigarette but insect repellent. They ask Era what happened then. She explains that when the monster was about to attack her, a person in a black suit appeared. The man asks the reason for calling him a person. She says they looked like one, but can't remember much because she lost consciousness. In the end, he protected them. The man asks if there was a student who wasn't there for cleaning. Era replied there was one person and they asked for more info. In the evening, Miziang comes back home and his grandma welcomes him. She tells him that the dinner's ready and he should wash up first. She has made some of his favorite dishes as well. Miziang looks at the table full of various food and says he's not hungry today. This statement hits Granny's heart. She asks if he did it again. She checks on him, seeing if he's hurt anywhere. Miziang replies he's fine but he can't eat food. Granny understands it and is happy that he's alright. He doesn't need to worry about her and he could get some rest. Miziang suggests her to leave the food and he'll eat it in the morning. Once Miziang leaves, Granny cries, saying he doesn't deserve this. At night, multiple ants crawl up into Miziang's room. He opens the TV and watches the news reporter narrating about today's Insector incident at high school. Miziang just lays on his bed and the ants enter him. The scene shifts to some officers searching a building for abducted children. They go to the third floor and the commander signals his team to stop. He peeks around the corner and is shocked to see big cockins hanging from the wall. The Bug Reaper team is sitting in the van outside the building. Tae says he hates to be on standby. He wonders why they can't go in there to save them. Sam says it's because they are under government supervision. They soon receive a signal from officers, requesting immediate support. Tae gets happy while Sam fixes his tie annoyingly. Tae pats him and asks if he's being nervous. He makes more fun of him when Sam says he's in silent mode. The cigarette man, Pyo, tells them to quit the crap and move. Inside the building, the officers cut the cocoons and save them. The man worriedly asks if they should have waited for Bug Reaper to arrive. But the officer replies that every second matters and these kids can be close to death. The officer tells the man to quickly unwrap the cocoon so they can breathe. The officer opens it up and sees a child crying. Another member also opens up his cocoon and asks if he's alright. However, the man gets killed by a blast through his head. The Insector comes out and asks what they are doing to his babies. A terrifying Insector with a mosquito's face repeats his question. Another man starts firing on seeing him, and he quickly dashes towards him. The man couldn't even see him moving across and thought he was faster than a bullet. The mosquito comes for the officer next. However, it got shot suddenly in the face. Its beak breaks and the person taking the shot is in a faraway tower. Sam reloads his sniper and says he missed it because he's too fast. The mosquito starts cursing the officer and approaches him. However, Tae blocks him with a stick. Tae asks why he's cursing, especially when he looks like a kid. He smacks the mosquito with his stick, telling him to be gone forever. The mosquito smashes against the wall and Pyo suggests the officer take away the girl. The mosquito gets enraged by the officer taking away his prey and charges at him. Pyo soon spoofs out smoke from his mouth and it covers the entire room. The mosquito which was trying to escape slumps down on the floor. Pyo explains that it's already late for him and the smoke has taken over his system. He should be a nice boy and tell his plan about whom he was selling these children. The mosquito rips out its beak and says he was looking for Black Ant, not them. He fires multiple projectiles from his nose, telling them to die. Pyo dispatches the attack by puffing out more smoke, while Tae defends himself with the stick. The mosquito then attempts to escape out of the window. Suddenly, they hear screams outside the building. Turns out that Sam got injured by the Insector's attack. He explains that he was too fast to hit and apologizes. Tae gets annoyed and thinks if they held the mosquito this wouldn't have happened. The scene shifts to the school shutting down for a week after the Insector incident. Memorials were served for the students who died, and the glasses guy was awarded a Medal of Bravery for notifying the authorities. Although, many students believe he doesn't deserve it. Bang has been ghosting Era since her head surgery. Era is sitting in the park while some kids roleplay Insectors. Her brother comes up to her and she tells him to go away. He runs away, saying he will tell mom about it, and Era screams that she would like to tell her first instead. She thinks that now she has to babysit her brother because school has been closed. That brat doesn't even know what she went through. Suddenly, she hears her brother scaring strangers. When she looks back, she sees the person to be Miziang. He sits down with her and offers both of them an ice cream. She remembers the conversation she had with the Bug Reaper about him and proceeds to ask him a question. She asks if anything happened to him that day. However, he denies it. He gives Era's brother sticks to play with them. Her little brother tells Era that he's going to play football with him and she suggests he shouldn't leave the playground. On watching the child closely, Miziang wonders if he could be an Insector. The kid knocks the ball over the bushes and he tells Era they are going to fetch it. The kid goes through the bushes while the other tells him to wait for him as well. Era told him not to leave and Miziang says he'll go there. She tries to stop him, saying it's fine, however, he ignores her. He soon enters the bushes and sees the kid with the ball in his hands. The kid asks what he's doing here. Miziang safely sends Era's little brother back and she asks if they found the ball. He explains that her friend told him to head back. The kid asks Miziang if isn't he one of them. He finally managed to catch one, but he ruined it all. He isn't in a good mood because he got screwed over by Bug Reaper. While Miziang removes his bandage, the kid says he looks like a noob and is letting him go this time. Once the bandage is removed, multiple ants crawl out of it, startling the kid. Miziang says he's just a piece of crap. The kid can't believe what he's seeing. He smashes the ball and gets excited to meet the black ant. He has been looking for him for so long. He's the talk of the town and eats his own kind. Is it true that he'll eat him as well? How could he defy the laws of the apex insects and kill their kind? He'll kill him today. The kid transforms into a mosquito and lunges at Ant. With one strike, he blows his head off, and Ant barely manages to dodge it. He starts moving around him swiftly, telling him to catch him. Ant just cracks his neck and thinks he's just showing off. He tells him to shut up and punches him. Later, Miziang comes out from the bushes with one side of his face scratched. He tries to hide it and the kid asks if they managed to find it. Miziang agrees and says he went home with the ball. The kid says he cleaned up the trash and asks if he can have more ice cream now. Miziang smiles and agrees to it. Era watches him closely and thinks this is the first time seeing him smile. Miziang hands over all the ice cream and she asks if he's fine with that. He replies he's fine and isn't hungry anymore. Back in the bushes, the ants soon began to feast on the mosquito. Soon enough everything returns to normal and students go to school. Miziang also goes along when suddenly two people bump him. They ignore him and the boy says he misses the 1-week holiday. They talk about the person behind him and the girl calls him a moron. Era goes to her class with a bouquet but is shocked to see something. She reads the notice, stating that class 3 will be closed and the remaining students will be distributed to other classes. She sees her name and that she's in class 5. She thinks she can't be the class president anymore, but will come to offer condolence to the dead. Era sits in her new classroom and is visibly bored. She checked her messages but Bang didn't reply to any of them. She wonders that, of all the classes, she got moved in with that glasses guy. A kid asks every detailed explanation of what happened that day, and he says it felt like it was the last day of life. One wrong move would have blown his head to pieces. Suddenly, the girl sitting next to Era gets up. She walks up to the glasses guy and kicks him. She stands over him and the glasses guy asks her the reason for it. Yojin tells him to shut up and that he shouldn't get in his way. Glasses guy friend apologizes in his place and informs him that she's the top dog of the class. Another girl talks about how she leaves right after attendance and Era thinks Bang would have loved this scene. When Yojin opens the door she sees Miziang standing there. They both brush past against each other. Miziang enters the class and Era wonders what took him so long. She waves at him and points towards his seat. She says that the girl who walked past him is the boss here. She just kicked the glasses guy for running his mouth and it was awesome. She was feeling down because of class transfer but maybe it isn't that bad. Miziang agrees while eating some chips. The teacher explains maths and tells them it will be in their test. Everyone is taking notes and Miziang's stomach grumbles suddenly. Era asks if he's hungry then they could have lunch together and he agrees. Suddenly, Miziang feels the presence of an Insector. He could sense that it's not far away. When the class got over, Miziang dashed from his seat while Era asked to go together. She sees that he has already left and wonders if he was that hungry. Miziang parkours over the school wall and runs in the direction of the smell. At the same time, Tae is talking about where the mosquito Insector went. Pyo replies he must be lying low. There's also the possibility that he's dead. It seems they aren't the only ones fighting the Insectors. Suddenly, Miziang brushes past Pyo. Tae asks if he's alright and tells the kid to get back here. Pyo tells him to forget it and move on. Tae curses the boy and says he's playing it risky. At the teacher's lounge, Pyo invites Era to talk about the student who wasn't there at the last incident. Era replies that he went home because he was hungry. Tae asks if he's the same kid they bumped into earlier and Pyo somewhat agrees to it. He hands his card, asking if she could hand this over to that kid. They then head to the hospital where Sam is admitted. Era flips the card and sees the contact info of their squad leader. The scene then shifts to a bridge. An Insector is standing in front of the darkness and awaits someone. It's Ant who comes out of the darkness. The beetle taunts Ant to come at him, and he approaches slowly towards him. When he gets in range, he goes to attack him. However, the beetle deflects the attack. It then proceeds to attack with its back wing on Ant. The beetle gets cocky and goes for another blow. However, Ant retaliates with a punch on his face. After the punch, beetle begins wobbling around and Ant thinks there's something odd with its movement. He spots one of his ants in the air and wonders if it's climbing on a string. He dispatches more ants from his hands and tosses them toward the beetle. The ants begin enveloping him and start climbing the strings. The strings lead to a hiding place between the blocks. The insector controlling it thinks that her plan failed. She cuts the strings and the beetle falls to the ground. Ant inspects the threads and wonders who could be controlling them. Suddenly, the beetle's face twists and it shows a bomb hidden in his mouth. The bomb explodes right on Ant and it also causes huge smoke outside. The insector bee looks at the aftermath and sees Ant badly injured. She says it serves him right for being the black ant, the kinslayer. She steps on him and says he isn't used to getting hunted. She asks if he's the one who killed the mosquito insector. However, she doesn't get a response from him. Another insector limps toward Ant and says his absence has been an inconvenience for them. They had to deal with all the complaints from the customers who seek young meat. He'll have to pay for what he did earlier. The bee suddenly kicks Ant to confirm her suspicion and notices that the person isn't in there. Geek notices Ant and tells Bee he's above her. Miziang comes out and punches Bee with only his reinforced arms. He then turns his attention to Geek and starts dealing multiple blows to him. He punches Geek and this annoys him. In retaliation, he launches a projectile at him. It hits him but he manages to defend himself. He then goes to punch Geek. However, the strings wrap around his fist and stop him just a few inches away. Bee says it was a smart move but also a reckless one. He shouldn't have turned back into a human and will regret it. After saying that, she leaps up in the air while holding Miziang down. Miziang thinks it's bad and can't dodge her attack. He takes on her kick and it makes a huge impact on him and his armor. She then kicks him and he rolls down on the ground. He sits defeated and Geek points his weapon at him. Miziang notices it and calls the code rally to bring in his ants. The ants soon disperse and follow their master. Geek says that the hunt is over and fires his cannon at him. Suddenly, his attack hits the road above him. Turns out it's Tae who stops him with his stick and says that fireworks in the park are punishable crimes. He mockingly asks about what currency they use anyway. Tae follows up with another attack and Geek gets back. Pyo says that a bunch of insectors are huddled up together like it's a picnic. He can't let this opportunity pass away easily. He uses the burning tree to light up his cigarette. He asks if they take the bug reaper for fools. He spoofs out smoke and says he had enough of this shit. He'll show them today that who's the boss here. Geek pulls out a bomb and it surprises both of them. He throws the bomb below which creates a dust cloud. They use the distraction to fly away from there. Tae calls it unfair and Pyo says they can't get a helicopter to chase them away. He says that they will have to do with the black insector. However, they both get shocked when Ant disappears as well. Later, Miziang is walking back home and he's badly injured. He takes support from the wall and is in pain. He soon reaches home and began munching on the food. Grandma asks if he was so hungry that he didn't even shower first. She feels sorry for him and asks if he managed to eat any insector or meals today. He replies he couldn't eat at all, so he needs to eat something. He gulps down the food and feels he's still hungry. Later, he enters his room and locks the door behind. Suddenly, the pain grows exponentially, and he remembers Golem's words about fighting to protect humans. He began taking off his shirt and his body began turning red. He says he doesn't give a damn about protecting humans. He'll eat every last one of them because if he doesn't, then the ants will eat him instead. The ants bite him inside and he feels excruciating pain. The scene shifts to an old warehouse. Inside it, a person is dragging away bodies with its string. She opens the door and tosses the body inside the cold storage. She takes the last one inside and the person in it begs her to help them. However, she still tosses him inside and closes the door on him. Geek bangs the table and says they wanted the black ant dead this time. Those bug reapers got in their way, otherwise they would have finished Ant today. They have no other choice, they need to increase the shipment of humans. The girl removes her protection gear and says she doesn't want to do this either way. Geek approaches her and grips her shirt, and she tells him to let go of it. He says that the shirt looks similar to what that boy was wearing. Does she know who he is? She brushes off the old geezer's hand and says she doesn't know him. Geek orders her to find him then and kill him. The girl retorts, saying she isn't here to do his dirty work. Geek grabs her neck and commands her to follow his orders as she's the one who came for his help. She doesn't stand a chance against apex insectors with such pathetic resolve. Suddenly, their attention diverts to a dog barking outside. A captive has managed to escape and the dog chases him. Geek quickly goes on to check the surveillance footage and asks the girl if she forgot to lock the freezer. However, she replies she did lock it. The man says not to bother anyway as they don't have a shortage of humans. They should continue from where they left off earlier and ask what she wants. The girl replies she wants to quit and concludes this partnership to be over. He understands it and gives a signal. The man activates a bomb on the captive and he blows away. The man tells her that she already knows how he deals with those who step on his toes. With another flick of his finger, he marks the next target to be her and orders her to kill the black ant. The scene shifts back to the school's cafeteria. The boy asks for more sausage but the cook denies him, stating there won't be much left for the first year then. Glasses guy notices Miziang eating food and a crowd has gathered around him. Some students wonder if he's doing a challenge and he's eating like crazy. Era also notices that he's eating more than usual. She wonders if something happened to him. Suddenly, Miziang coughs out the food and thinks that the ants are eating him from within again. The marks begin to show up on him and Era asks if he's feeling sick. The glasses guy gets annoyed with Miziang since he's eating all the food to his heart's content. He comes to his side and says his dad must own this school. Era tells the glasses guy to leave him alone, he pays 10 times more for the food than everyone else. Glasses guy calls it amazing, he can't believe that a human could eat so much. He asks if he's an insector. Everyone watches Miziang in silence and the blonde girl also watches him. Glasses guy accuses him of being missing on the day their teacher attacked them. He also says that he's shaking right after he said that. The ants within him cut through more and Miziang isn't able to bear it any longer. He grabs the glasses guy who was accusing him all the time. He clutches his chest while Era begs him to let him go. He throws the glasses guy away and he bumps into a girl. Suddenly, Miziang starts running away and Era asks where he's going. He runs toward the roof and thinks he can't control this hunger anymore. The ants begin to swarm out of the hole and he starts transforming into Black Ant. He completely goes out of control and goes crazy. Suddenly, Yojin shows up and asks if he's announcing to the world that he's the Black Ant or something. She also begins transforming and says it's nothing personal. On seeing an insector, the Black Ant screeches at it and charges toward it. B gets ready and says that her goal is for him to die. In his state of unconsciousness, Miziang sees ants crawling all over his body. Not only that, 4 ants hold down his limbs. He begs them to leave him alone and wonders just how much more blood they want. He senses an ant coming to feast on his head and he grows more terrified. The ant places its sharp teeth on his neck and wonders if it isn't enough. Suddenly, a red ant comes in and pushes the black ant. Miziang watches what happens in amazement. The red ant kills all the black ones and Miziang watches in awe. He then wakes up from his unconsciousness and gets up. He touches his neck and thinks that the pain is gone now. He tries remembering what happened on the rooftop earlier but can't recall anything. He believes he must have killed her since the ants have quieted down. Grandma asks if he's finally awake and she'll make something for him. Miziang says it's okay and he isn't feeling hungry. She asks if he isn't hungry then did he caught an insector yesterday. He doesn't remember it and asks how he got home here yesterday. Grandma asks if he doesn't remember it, a lanky-looking girl brought him here and she had blonde hair. She had you on her back and was all covered in blood. She looked like a bag full of trouble and asked if she was like him. Miziang replies she's just a classmate, and also wonders if she's alive then why have the ants quieted down. Suddenly, he senses an insector calling him and it's the old geezer this time. He gets serious and Grandma asks why isn't he answering. Both Geek and Yojin wait for him in the field. Geek says she made quite a mess of herself while she explains she did her best. Geek asks if that was her best, then she should have killed him. Yojin protests, saying if he wants him dead then he can fight and himself, he's like a monster. Geek tells her that he has arrived. He stands in the darkness under the bridge and becomes visible when a train passes by. They both begin their transformation and he tells her not to disappoint him this time. B makes the first attack by kicking Ant, but he blocks it. He says the code rally and Ant's move to his hands. He punches her with the transformed hand, and it breaks her armor. The attack she felt just now was much stronger than before. Ant then starts leaving and she asks where he's going. They aren't done yet. However, Ant advises her to stay out of this. He then approaches Geek who calls B useless. She holds Ant's leg and asks what he's doing. He's showing mercy just because she helped him. He shouldn't look down on her. If she can't beat him then how is she supposed to achieve her goal of getting revenge on apex insects? Geek calls her a pitiful insect for crawling on the ground and grabbing Ant's leg. B begs him not to pull the bomb trigger. He says she doesn't know anything. Did she really think he would help her with the stupid revenge? Who in the right mind would oppose apex insects? He was going to hand over her to them once all of this was over and join them himself. B screams at him, saying she did all the dirty work he told him and now he's just leaving her to die. Geek enjoys it and tells her to cry more, it's a fitting demise for someone useless like her. Hold on tight to that leg so that both of you could go down. Ant says rally and he disappears from that spot. Geek looks around for him, telling him to show his face. Any sudden moves he makes will result in B's death. He feels something moving and detonates a bomb there. He exclaims that's what he gets. However, Ant manages to evade the attack, but Geek says he doesn't have anywhere to run, this whole place is now a minefield. Ant thinks he needs to deal with Geek's hand, but he needs more speed for that. He speaks to himself to go faster and his color begins transforming. He has now become a red ant and he dodges every one of Geek's attacks. Geek wonders how Ant is moving so fast and Ant himself wonders that his speed has increased. But it feels like his speed is too fast and he can't control it. He reaches Geek and tears his head with insane speed. He finally stops and wonders what this new power is. Geek burns in the field and Bee watches in awe. She looks at the mutated version of Ant, glowing red. Ant himself looks at his hands and remains astonished. He tells his ants to feast and they start leaving his body. The ants envelop Geek's corpse and start devouring it. Miziong then stops in front of Bee and stares at her. Bee closes her eyes in fear, believing she's next on the line. However, Miziong walks past her. Bee screams at him to wait, she needs to talk with him. He must have a plan, so that's why he's sparing her, right? He must have a reason to fight against apex insects. If he needs her help then she's ready for it. However, Miziong first asks her a question about what happened to him yesterday, when he lost control of himself. Yojin remains in shock and asks if he doesn't remember anything. When she fought him yesterday, she got badly injured. She wondered what was happening to him, and had never seen an insector like him before. The ant driven by bloodthirst attacked Yojin, but Miziong ordered his ant to stop. She was shocked and the ant looked at Miziong. Ant gets enraged and tries to attack Miziong. However, Yojin binded him down just in time. She wondered why an insector was trying to hurt his own host. Did that mean his insector had his own will or something? Suddenly, Miziong screams and the black ants around him disappear. He slumped on the ground and Yojin wonders who is he. After that, she was left in a dilemma to either kill him or sell him off. But at that moment something crossed over her mind. She thought he could be the trump card who could defeat all the apex insects. That's why she needed his help. She gets up and tells him to think wisely as he's now a target of the apex insects. With the death of Geek, the supply of humans will drop. It'll be only a matter of time before they find him out. They'll also target his family, friends, and anyone he has an acquaintance with, all of them could end up dead. He doesn't stand a chance on his own, but if they join their hands they might pull it off. Miziong steps in her direction and asks if she wants to help him. She's just gasping for any help because she's weak. He doesn't care about the apex insects. He places his hand close to her face and says that it doesn't matter who comes at him, he'll simply devour them all. After saying that, he grabbed her by the mouth and the ants began to enter her body through it. She screams in agony as a train passes over the bridge. The next day at school, the teacher greets his students and says he'll start roll calls. Miziong is sitting on his seat and is scribbling something in his notebook. He's drawing a red ant and a few black ants. Era notices that Yojin is absent today. The teacher also wonders about her absence, and asks if any of his friends know the reason. The glasses guy makes fun of her as she doesn't have any friends. They heard about the incident that happened at the river last night, and believe she used to go to that place often. They hope she's dead as they could become the new class boss then. Suddenly, Yojin barges inside the class and tells those idiots to meet her after classes. The boys look stunned and think they are doomed now. Yojin apologizes for being late and says she's present. At the place of last night's incident, the bug reaper blocks the area. One member picks up a prosthetic leg and the other says it must be the bombardier beetle. He shakes the leg and something drops from it. He picks up the pack thing and inspects it. Suddenly, a person comes to the scene and talks about entering it. One member pats his shoulder and tells him to go away, as this area is off limits. However, the muscle guy swings his arm and it cuts the man's arm. He screams that he's an insector. Others get alert and draw their weapon. They call him a fool for coming here alone. The man smirks and raises his hands. The bug reaper tries to call for more backup, but the insector quickly dispatches all men on sight. Only a last man remains and he too meets his demise. The muscle guy then calls a person named Bad Bee and says he has secured the sample. The caller hopes he didn't create a scene there and the muscle guy tells him not to worry. The caller says that they should get the party started then. The scene shifts back to the classroom where students are studying. Yojin uses her insector power to create a slingshot for a paper. The paper flies in front of Era, and Miziong catches it between the fingers. He opens the paper and sees a note from Yojin to meet after the class. Later, Miziong arrives at the specified location. Yojin mocks him and asks if this is the first time they are talking in the school. This feels a little weird. Miziong gets straight to the point and asks what she wants. Yojin sighs and says he already knows it. Back when he poured ants into her mouth, she thought she would die. However, she soon woke up on the ground later. She immediately coughed out something and saw that it was a bomb planted by Geek inside her. His ants devoured the bomb, thus saving her life. Since he has left her alive, it could only mean one thing. She believes he wants to say yes to their partnership. Miziang replies they are not partners. She's an emergency food he'll eat whenever he pleases. He starts ripping off the bandage and Yojin backs off, telling him to calm down. She insists that they make a partnership. The apex insects will be after him after yesterday's incident. The apex insects have only one goal, and that is to eliminate humankind and rise to the top of the food chain. They are getting rid of those who oppose them. Miziang pushes her back and says he's not interested. He again rips off his bandage and Yojin begs him not to give her PTSD. Era watches everything unfold from the school window. She sees Miziang pushing Yojin back. She wonders when they both got so close. She has never seen them talk before. Era's attention diverts to some students discussing a YouTube video. The video showcases that the Bug Reaper Cooperation has built an anti-Insector suit. The boys think that the new suit looks cool. At the Bug Reaper Cooperation, Tae's teammate looks intently at his new suit. They ask him how he feels about it. He replies he's good and asks if it's necessary to wear this. Pyo says that they lost 4 men too easily in the recent incident. He doesn't want that happening to his team. The scientist says that they'll see how this goes. The door opens and Tae nervously asks for his weapon. However, the scientists reply that they need to assess the suit, so he isn't allowed a weapon. They suggest he use the dagger built into his right arm. Tae thinks he's only good with long-range weapons, and wonders what could he do with this tiny knife. The Bug Reaper people bring in a captive Insector. The scientist tells the Insector to transform. The man says that he'll kill them all. After his chains are unlocked, he smirks and thinks it's been a while since he killed someone. He vanishes from that spot and charges at Tae. Tae thinks that this knife is not that bad. His suit boosts his physical capabilities to 80 times that of an average person. The scientist tells Tae to stay on alert. His foe is a tiger beetle which moves at a speed of 180 miles per hour. Tae gets punched by the Insector, but he defends himself with the new suit. He slices at the Insector, cutting his belly. Tae then lands a powerful kick at him. The Insector gets back and says he's enjoying this. Tae's left arm dysfunction after receiving 2 hits. The scientist tells Tae to continue the fight. They want to see how much more the suit can withstand the attack. Tae asks if they have gone crazy. They should test this out themselves. The Insector grabs Tae by the neck but gets shocked the very next moment. The scientist explains that once the suit is damaged to a certain point, any Insector coming in contact will be zapped with 100 kV of electricity. The test completes as the Insector becomes unconscious. The scientist tells them to send the Insector back as he's a valuable asset. Tae knocks on the glass and asks if his life isn't valuable. Before leaving, the Insector says they'll have fun next time. Tae makes a twisted face and calls him a son of a gun. Later, Pyo thinks that an untransformed Insector killed 3 agents in an instant. He wonders if the suits will help when they are in the transformed state. He believes this incident couldn't be a coincidence. He'll have to look into it. Pyo then goes to the library in search of information. He flips through the pages of a book and takes multiple books from the shelf. He stretches himself and thinks he couldn't find anything possible. He suddenly spots a book that piques his interest. He picks up the book with the title Antcastle Project. The scene shifts to Yojin telling Miziang to listen to her for a second. She says that her real target is just one guy in Apex Insects. She just needs to kill him. Pyo also looks at the book and sees an Insector named Kojima. Yojin also says that the person who she wants to kill is Kojima. Miziang grabs her and asks who he is. The name sounds familiar. She replies that Kojima is the head of Apex Insects. Miziang then remembers his past. He saw Kojima, the Insector, standing over his mother. She held him in her hands while tears flowed from her eyes. In the present, Miziang heads back home after school. Yojin puts her arm around him and asks if he's free, but he replies negatively. She asks if he's going somewhere then, but he tells her to mind her business. She asks if he's going for a hunt when his prey is here. Miziang shoves her hand back, telling her not to mess around. Yojin taunts him with some meat to celebrate their partnership. Miziang crushes the lollipop and asks if she's going for human meat. Yojin replies that he's getting the wrong idea. She doesn't eat humans. She doesn't crave human meat because she's a silk moth. She looks beside her and sees that Miziang has left. He tells her to hurry up while walking forward. Yojin takes him to a barbecue place. Miziang flips the meat, but she tells him not to do that. He complains that it looks ready, but Yojin tells him that it's raw. The employee says that those kids are like bad news and they have taken too much meat. His boss tells him not to disrespect customers like that. It's normal for people at buffets to order heaps of food and never finish it. That's why they have a penalty fee if they leave the food uneaten. Besides, they are kids, so they can't eat much. The employee interrupts his boss and says that they are screwed. They see Miziang going for 2-in-1 combo. Yojin does the same and suggests he eat it with veggies. The boss can't believe what he's witnessing. Yojin then asks how he knows Kojima. Miziang remembers his past when he stood over his mother. He replies he doesn't really know. She guesses that he killed his family or something. The same thing happened to her as well. He killed both of her parents in front of her eyes. He left her alive and remembers what he said to her. Kojima said that he doesn't kill his kind, but he has no interest in weaklings. He told Yojin to evolve. Miziang chomps down 2 more meat and she asks if he's even listening. Yojin orders more meat, and the boss can't believe they ate so much. The boss tells his employee to bring the whole platter. He sweats profusely and thinks they are screwed when they see them gulping down the whole platter. They step outside the shop happily and Miziang thinks that the owner was rude, they told them to get out. Yojin suggests that they get some drinks now. At the shop, Yojin orders 1 smoothie of every type, and the cashier has a hard time making a bill. She asks Miziang what he would like, and he replies he wants every single smoothie too. Suddenly, Miziang's Insector sense buzzes up. He increases his focus and hears the conversation around him. He hears a boy saying to his girl that he makes good coffee. They joke about doing good stuff together in his house. He says that he'll devour her and the girl replies that he's quite funny. Yojin comes back with the order and believes they are quick. She asks what's wrong with him, and why he's shaking. She asks if he feels lonely after seeing a couple. However, Miziang says that the boy is an Insector. He has to go after them. The scene shifts to Era getting off the bus. She goes inside the building and stands in front of a room. She asks Bang to open the door, she has come to meet her. However, Bang tells her to just leave. Era leaves and puts an envelope and a ring. She remembers the fun they had together earlier. She thinks that Bang prepared for her performance for so long, and now she doesn't want to come out. Era glances at the woman passing by and thinks that she's pretty. Suddenly, Bang's door opens. She asks Era why she doesn't listen and just leaves. However, nobody comes inside and the door remains open. Suddenly, a woman steps in and asks her sweetheart why she's angry. She asks if those Insectors upset her, didn't they? She takes out a worm from her mouth and tells her to take it if she wants revenge. She could kill those pesky humans with this. She passionately passes the worm into Bang's mouth. Her eyes start changing dramatically, and the woman tells her to have fun. Bang screams violently as the worm makes changes in her body. As for the girl, she loves hearing Bang scream. The scene shifts to the boy taking the girl to his house. The girl is amazed to see him have an indoor swimming pool. The boy says that it's not a big deal. He kicks her, and tells her to enjoy in there. She emerges out of the water, soaked. She says that the pool is a little too deep and feels tired of floating like that. She looks around but can't find her boyfriend. The boy gets to the bottom of the pool, and grins on seeing her prey from below. The girl can't find him anywhere and decides to exit the pool. Suddenly, the boy grabs her by the foot and hurls her into the water. The boy takes her deep inside the water while she gasps for air. He throws the girl to the bottom, and her head hits the end of the pool. She loses consciousness and floats on the water. The boy gets excited about finding his food. He thinks that hunting is a pain in the ass when buying was easier before. He opens his mouth and says it's feasting time. He stops suddenly when he notices an ant crawling on his face. The boy looks beside the pool and sees someone standing in the shadows. Miziang transforms into Insector form and smashes the window. The boy asks who he is and why he's here. Miziang dropkicks the boy from the edge of the pool. He turns the boy into an abstract art on the wall. The boy charges at him and asks what he's doing. He smashes at Ant and asks who he is. While the boy was distracted, Bee formed a net with her powers. She binds the boy like a cocoon. She also lifts the girl from the water. She catches her and feels relieved to see her still breathing. She gives her life advice that she shouldn't trust strangers. Inside, the boy smirks and says that they interrupted his meal. He asks if they know him and if they can handle him. Ant replies he doesn't care who he is, he's just food for him. Bee stops Ant from killing him, suggesting they extract some info from him first. The boy asks if he's the kinslayer, he's a lot weaker than he imagined. The boy starts transforming into an Insector and asks if they will kill him. Bee says that he won't be able to break out of those binds, so he should answer their questions. The Insector starts breaking the binds and says they don't have any idea who they are messing with. Ant tells Bee to watch out. He launches himself into a projectile, and attacks Bee and Ant. The aftermath of the attack causes serious destruction to the surroundings. He asks if they can handle a member of the apex insects. The Insector, Zigna with 2 swords in his hands, calls them foolish. He taunts them to try and kill him now. Ant uses Code Rally to strengthen himself, and Bee prepares her grand thread. They both leap into the air to attack Zigna. However, Zigna blocks their attack with his swords. He then uses a special move to slice through them. Ant, after getting sliced through the attack, was about to fall into the water. However, Bee catches him and saves him from another attack. She wonders what that attack was. She believes he can control water. Since this place has a pool, the entire place is now his kill zone. B thinks that apex insectors are a lot stronger than regular ones, but she didn't know they were this strong. Ant dashes forward and B asks what he's doing. Ant tells her to cover the water with her silk. She does as she's told, and thinks that Ant will die if he gets too close. While running forward, Ant thinks he needs to tap into his mysterious red ant form again. Zagna attacks Ant and it slices off his antenna, as he tries to evade the attack. He punches at Zagna and believes he needs to deal with his blades first. They both start going hand to hand against each other. Ant lands a punch at him and tells himself to go faster. His body starts transforming color as he lands another punch. Ant lands a punch at him, pushing Zagna back. He lines up for another punch and thinks he needs to go faster. Suddenly, Zagna attacks him, and his part of the mask breaks. Zagna asks if he thought that the blades on his back were just for show. He reveals his quadruple blade form and says this is his true form. He uses the blade limbs technique to slash at Ant. The slash makes a deep cut on Miziang. Zigna feels that his cut just now was too shallow. He looks at his sword and sees it to be wrapped in strings. B tries to bind him down, and he calls her foolish. B kicks him in the neck with strings, breaking his face mask. Zigna strikes back with a reverse kick and pierces through her. However, B still does her best to hold him down. B manages to disarm Zigna's weapon, and Miziang grabs it in time. He uses the sword to pierce through Zigna's chest. Zigna counterattacks but Miziang blocks the strike with his hand. He tells his ants to feast and they start entering Zigna's body through the pierced sword. Zigna cries in pain as ants crawl inside his body. Suddenly, a person steps at the scene and asks what's going on here. The man in his non-insector form punches Ant. Ant almost gets turned into abstract art as he lands against the wall. Both Ant and B get defeated. The man smirks and says that they are quite funny guys. He flicks the card at them and says he welcomes the strong. The card named Club 6 Shot lands next to Miziang. The man tells him to visit him there. The scene shifts to a loser playing video games in an alley. Bang approaches the man with her face covered. The man sees a girl coming to her and says hello. He blushes and asks if she's a high school student, and Bang agrees. He asks if she would like to go somewhere more private. However, Bang denies his request. She comes closer to the man and his cheeks grow red. She says they can do it here. The man turns on, agreeing to her condition. Bang leans in for a kiss and the loser thinks that she's doing it a little too fast. He soon realizes something strange happening in his body. Bang starts sucking the man's life force and his face grows into a stick. A tentacle stretching from Bang's mouth sucks all of the man's life force. The girl who gave Bang this power asks if she enjoyed the meal. She asks how his first human meat was. Bang replies that it was delicious. The scene shifts to a metro passing by. A man inside the train thinks that he doesn't want to do this. One person notices his weird behavior and sees him saying he's hungry. The man's face starts to change with redness in his eyes. He can't take it anymore and feels he needs to eat. He unleashes a tentacle from his mouth, piercing through multiple people's necks. The people grow horrified on seeing the murder. Soon enough, a bloodbath takes place inside the metro. The scene shifts to Era walking to school alone. She spots Miziang walking in front and taps on his shirt. She gets surprised after seeing his swollen face. She asks what happened to his face. Miziang replies that he got into a fight. Era says that he's not the type of guy who would go looking for trouble. Miziang replies that he had no other choice. She asks if he's still in his rebellious phase then. When Era reaches the classroom, she sees Bang staring at the sky. She hugs her, feeling happy after their reunion. She was worried about her as she didn't receive any visitors. Bang replies that she was embarrassed because of her hair. Era replies that she looks cute in her short hair, and is happy to see her wearing the bracelet she gave her. She tells Bang that Miziang is in their class too. Bang, after looking at him, asks why he's so beaten up. She asks Era if the seat next to her is taken. Era replies that Yojin sits there and she also happens to be the class boss. As for Yojin, she's lying on her bed, wrapped in bandages after her last fight. She texted Miziang asking if he was at school, and he replied affirmatively. She believes he's built like a tank. She looks at the card of Club 6 Shot and thinks that it's cool. At school, the glasses guy approaches Bang and says he almost didn't recognize her because of her small hair. He welcomes her back and asks if she's doing alright. Era suggests they go somewhere away from this idiot. He taunts Bang with the scar on the back of her head, saying it looks gross. She got lucky as most other students didn't make it out alive. He believes it wasn't her time and feels glad that she has survived. Bang looks at glasses guy angrily. At the same time, Miziang Insector sense activates. Before Bang could do anything, Era lands a punch on glasses guy. Well, he had it coming after saying all that. Era asks how he can say all of that, He should be on his knees and begging for forgiveness. He threw her to the ground so that he could escape. He has to apologize to her right now. Glasses Guy gets some sense knocked into him, and apologizes to Bang. Glasses Guy leaves angrily, wondering what their problem is, and Bang asks Era if her hand is alright. Miziong's senses tell him that there's an Insector nearby. However, he feels that it's not exactly like one of them. He looks at Bang and thinks that it's way too unpredictable. Back in the metro, the man evolves into a larva after devouring all the people. As the gate opens, a person wearing the Bug Reaper combat suit steps in. He looks around and thinks that this place is a mess. The Insector glares at him, and the man asks what he's looking at. Another Bug Reaper member steps in from another door and wonders if that's a larva. They think that they have never seen an Insector in the larva form. Another member asks if they should kill him or capture him. The senior member says that they will capture him and take him to HQ. The scientist will figure out the rest about him. The larva screeches at them, and the man thrusts his blade into it. He keeps the larva in place and fires his weapon at him. The second man tells him to beat him in moderation as they want his body in good condition. The larva swings its tail and sends the man flying into the window. He lies in pain as the glasses pierced his body. His teammate gets shocked after witnessing the larva's strength. The larva then attacks him, but he blocks the attack. He picks up the larva and says he's better than his team member. The unconscious man gets back and slices the larva into two halves. He asks if he can repeat what he was saying just before, and the man apologizes. The man wipes the blood and thinks that he told him to keep it in good condition, but he killed it himself. The senior tells him to bag the larva up, and he obliges. The senior looks down and sees a worm wiggle out of the corpse. The worm turns its head and looks at the man. It launches itself straight into his head. The other man asks what's wrong with him, did he piss himself off? The worm wriggles inside his head and he replies it's nothing. They should head back to HQ now. The scene shifts to HQ where various people are doing their work. The man with a larva on his back boasts about their find. The scientists will be surprised after they see it. Tae asks them if they caught a larva, he heard the news recently. However, they were a step ahead of them. The man says that they would have been faster if they didn't drop by a rest stop. Tae mocks them for cutting the larva into half and this annoys the man. He boasts about how he brought their larva in perfect condition except for a bit of roasting by Sam. The second man shoves Tae while dragging the larva. Tae asks what is his problem. His partner replies that he seems angry and didn't say anything on the way here. At the dissection lab, the scientists cut through larva, wondering who was behind this. He picks up the larva and thinks that the insectors are making bizarre things. He puts the worm into a solution for further testing. The scene shifts back to the school. The classes get over and students start leaving. Era approaches Bang and asks if she's heading home. She asks if they could go to the town for some hot pot. They soon go to a restaurant. Bang looks at the sizzling dishes and wonders why Miziong is here. Era nervously replies that she asked him to come along as he was also hungry. Miziong tells them not to mind him and think he isn't here. Era could sense a fierceness between Bang and Miziong, and wonders what's the matter with them. Era suggests that they eat the food. She shows Bang her skill of wrapping meat, while Miziong grabs 3 meat in one go. They then go for a smoothie with Miziong tailing them from behind. Bang gets a call and tells Era to hold on for a second. Her expression grows serious after seeing the caller. Bang apologizes and tells Era that she needs to go to cram school. Era replies that it's fine and they could hang out later on. She waves at them, suggesting they will meet tomorrow. Once Bang has left, Miziong looks at her curiously. Later, Miziong and Era are walking together. Era talks about how glad she is that Bang has recovered. She suddenly claps her hand as she remembers something. She takes out an assignment and says she forgot to hand it over to Bang. She apologizes to Miziong as she has to give this to her. Suddenly, Miziong grabs her hand and she looks back blushingly. Miziong suggests her not to go. The scene shifts to Bang answering the call. The caller tells her to get into the white sedan. The man waves at her, suggesting to come in. Bang slurps his lip at the possibility of finding the next prey. Back to Miziong, he explains to her that the teacher will forgive Bang as she just came out of the hospital. He suggests her to go home together, and she agrees. Later, the Glasses Guy and his friend are walking after the school. They see Bang entering a car, and Glasses Guy's friend can't believe that he got clapped by her today. They wonder if the driver is her dad or something, he has got a sick car. Glasses Guy replies that she doesn't have a dad. Later, Yojin is walking down the streets, when a guy checks her despite having a girlfriend. Yojin also thinks that she overdid her dressing for the club and hopes that they won't check her ID. She soon reaches the six-shot club. She gets shocked after seeing that the entire building is a club. On top of that, there's a huge waiting line. She thinks she can't do this alone and texts Miziong to come here. However, he replies he's eating food. Yojin scratches her head in frustration, wondering what she should do next. At that moment, a man approaches her and asks if this is her first time. She recognizes him as the Insector they fought last time. The man replies that her voice sounds somewhat familiar. Min, who's the Insector Zigna, asks if they met before. Min takes Yojin inside despite her repeated refusals. Once inside, she sees a crowd of people dancing in the disco. Yojin looks surprised while Min stays calm like it's usual for him. She looks at the disco lights and gets mesmerized by its brightness. Min asks if she's glad that she came in here. She tries touching the disco and Min asks what she's doing. Yojin also thinks that she got sidetracked and needs to focus on her objective. Yojin says that she likes the vibe of the place. Min compliments her beauty and says this place is getting more lively with her. Yojin believes that the club is a facade and she needs to gather intel on apex insects. She goes for the card in her pocket and thinks she will do this in a straight way. She shows Min the card and says that she's here on invitation. Min looks at the card and chuckles. Since she's here for that, so he'll take her there. Min takes her through a hallway and she asks how long it will take. Min says they are almost there and they will use that elevator to head down. They stand in front of the gigantic elevator and she asks why it's so big. Min takes her inside and says that this place is reserved for VIPs, so they made it special. Min says that they don't give this card to just anyone, so how did she get acquainted with his boss? Yojin replies that she happens to pique people's interest. He asks what her awakened form is, a butterfly, a mantis? She replies that it's a dung beetle. She asks about his awakened form and he replies it is an American giant water strider. The elevator soon reaches the 6th floor. Min says that she would be excited to see what's behind her. Yojin thinks that it would be a boring party filled with insectors. As the door opens, some people shout to kill them. A battle is taking place between insectors and humans in an arena. Some people shout that they put their money on humans, so they must win. A bald man in the arena thrusts his blade into an insector. Other people join in and start killing the insector. Min says that this place is the lawless frontier. Soon, a giant beetle insector makes an entry into the arena. She roars at the humans, and delivers a punch on the ground, sending shockwaves all around. The people start rooting for Zack, the beetle, to kill the humans. Yojin can't understand why humans are here. Min replies that he wasn't expecting such a response. She thinks that humans and insectors are placing bets on a battle royale. This was something she never expected. Zack roars once again, and Yojin feels this place to be disgusting. Min points out that Queen Zack is the face of the lawless frontier. Her strength and size are unmatched by anyone, except for a few. Suddenly, another insector pierces through Zack's chest, and she slumps down on the ground. Min wonders why that little bastard is interrupting the fun again. He told him to go easy on her. Some people cry over losing their money after betting on Zack. Yojin says that all of this is too barbaric and asks the point of this. Min says that there's a point. For humans, it's a form of entertainment. For insectors, it's a chance for glory. Every insector desires to become a part of apex insects, but at the end of the day, it's only a chance. They also take the insector's ideology into account. Yojin wonders if this Min guy also went through this ordeal. Min, while holding a worm, says that there's also another way to join the apex insects. He asks if she's interested to join. He gives her the worm and she wonders what this is for. Min was about to explain the purpose of it when someone interrupted them. The beetle insector says that the boss is looking for him. Min replies that he almost scared his client. He'll come later as he has to finish a few things first. Yojin, taking the opportunity, scans the card for the elevator and enters it. Min looks puzzled and asks where she's going. Yojin replies she isn't feeling well and has to use the washroom. Once the elevator closes, she feels relaxed. Min sighs as he loses a golden chance. He kills the insector in anger as he ruined it all. The next day, students go to school. Yojin comes inside and calls out to Miziang. She goes straight in for a kick while he dodges it. She asks if he knows what she went through yesterday while he was enjoying at home. She says that she got some juicy intel last night and Miziang commends her on a good job. Some students gossip about something, and Yojin asks what is going on here. Bang enters the classroom, followed by Era laughing with her. Suddenly, all the students look at Bang and start gossiping about her. Era asks if something's wrong. Why are they looking at Bang like that? Some students whisper that she did it with an old man. They can't believe that she's selling her body. Era grabs Bang and asks what are they saying. Yojin asks who's that girl and Miziang replies she's Era's friend. Yojin says that things don't look good for her. Era, while grabbing Bang's hand, says they must go from here. Glasses guy comes in and asks where are they going. They should hear about the scandal before leaving. They saw Bang getting in a nice expensive car yesterday. Since she doesn't have a dad, so that person must be someone else. That old man had such a perverted look that it worried him. So, he hopped in the taxi and followed them. He shows them his phone and says that his gut feeling was right. The video showcases the old man and Bang going to a hotel. He asks how will she explain this is a tragedy. He tells Bang not to blame him for ruining her career. She never had it in her to become a big idol. Yojin says that this glasses guy is getting on her nerves. Should she deal with him? Miziang agrees with her as well. He could sense the unstable signal coming from Bang. Era asks how can he say this to her. She clenches her fist and goes for a knockout punch. However, Bang stops Era from going any further. She whispers to her to stay outside. After that, she shoves Era outside the room. She says she'll handle this herself. After that she closes the door, leaving Era outside. Glasses guy friend jokes about how he almost got punched. Suddenly, Bang starts laughing weirdly. She wanted to stay a little longer like a normal human being, but it's all ruined now. Miziang could feel that she's about to transform. Glasses guy wonders if she has finally lost her screw, and his friend says he'll deal with her. He approaches Bang and apologizes in his friend's place jokingly. He pats her shoulder and asks how much she charges for her services. He has a lot of money because he works part-time. Suddenly, he sees Bang changed face with 5 glowing eyes. Yojin gets shocked to see Bang like that. Even the boy steps back after seeing her like that. Bang smacks the boy hard on the face, knocking him out for good. The students scream that there's an Insector in the class. They start running for the exit. However, Bang stops all of them by swinging her arm at them. Era hears loud noises coming from inside and gets puzzled. She notices a chair impaled through the door and tells Bang to open the door. All the students huddle towards the opposite wall of the room. The students wonder what they should do as the exit is blocked. Yojin asks if they should step in. However, Miziang replies that there are too many witnesses. Bang then calls out to Glasses Guy who's hiding among others. She tells him to come here, and he begs others to call Bug Reaper cooperation. All the students step behind, making Glasses Guy stand ahead automatically. Bang grabs his neck with her extended hand and hurls him into the air. She says that it was all his fault that her career got over. She extends her tentacle from her mouth, blaming Glasses Guy for all the bad things happening to her. As she was about to kill him, someone told her to stop. Miziang steps up and tells her to stop. If she goes any further than this, then she won't be friends with Era again. Bang hears Era banging on the door, asking if she's alright. Era keeps banging on the door, telling her to open it. Glasses Guy calls her an insect, and orders other students to call for help. If they don't do that, she will kill them as well. However, nobody does anything. He then calls Miziang a beanpole and tells him to call for help. He has to call Bug Reaper so they can kill this disgusting insect. Bang tells Miziang to take care of Era, as she won't be able to do it now. She stretches her hand and tries to throw him out of the window. She remembers the time when he shoved her behind last time, and then he got famous. She suffered from depression while he laughed like nothing happened. Bang says that he brought this upon himself, so she doesn't have to feel too bad. Suddenly, Bang stops herself from throwing him out the window. She thinks she can't let him off this easily, and reaches for something inside her bag. She picks out multiple worms and talks about making him suffer like she did. Miziang and Yojin look in astonishment at those worms. She grabs him by the mouth and says that she'll grant him death at the peak of his suffering. Glasses Guy tries kicking her away, begging her to stop. He asks why she's doing this to him. Soon enough, Bang shoves multiple worms inside his mouth. After that, she makes him swallow all those. After taking those worms, his body starts twitching uncontrollably. He soon starts transforming into an Insector himself. Other students get grossed and horrified at seeing the transformation. Yojin remembers that Min also showed her the same worm last night. Glasses Guy transforms into an ugly Insector, and Yojin wonders if this is what the worm does. Bang asks how it feels now. He has become the very existence that he rejected. Maybe he doesn't feel much of a difference, since he never had a shred of humanity to begin with. Era is still banging on the door, telling them to open it. The teacher also asks what they are doing in there. He instructs them to open it immediately. Bang tells Miziang that she couldn't say goodbye to Era, it would be better if she never saw her again. She hates humans now. After saying that, she jumps off the building from the top floor. The chair that was holding the door falls down, making it possible for the door to be opened. The beaten boy wakes up from unconsciousness and wonders what just happened. The teacher, panting heavily, tells them to quiet down. Suddenly, he notices an Insector inside the room and he grows terrified. The boy says that the Insector is Bang and Era can't believe it. The boy pulls out his phone and dials the Bug Reaper, believing he could earn a medal of bravery. Era tries to snatch the phone away from him, stopping him from calling the authorities. However, the boy asks if she wants to get eaten up by it too. The phone slips away from their hands, and it rolls in front of Glasses Guy. The call has been made and the Bug Reaper asks how they can help them. They ask if they want to report an Insector. Glasses Guy wonders who they want to report. He looks at his reflection in the mirror and wonders if they want to report him. He shatters the glass in anger as he can't handle his beauty. He starts hurling his tail all over the classroom, stating this is impossible. Glasses Guy destroys furniture and Yojin saves a girl from being squashed. On the other hand, Miziang saves Era from the whip by diving to the floor along with her. Glasses Guy can't believe that he's an Insector, and breaks out of the window. He starts running away, believing he can't die like this. In the classroom, everything is a mess, and the students are left in shock. Era starts crying as she can't believe that Bang is an Insector. Miziang then looks at Yojin and she nods in agreement. They both start chasing Bang, and Yojin says that Bang probably got involved with apex insects. She shows him the worm that Glasses Guy swallowed. It's the same thing she received at Six Shot Club. They told her they could join apex insects with this. Miziang and Yojin tell each other that they tagged Bang and they should follow their lead. They look surprised to hear the response, and soon a race begins to see who will reach Bang first. Both of them soon reach the place which is under a bridge. Yojin pants heavily and Miziang believes this is the place. They find Bang crying alone in the loneliness. They step forward and Yojin asks if they could talk for a minute. They have to ask something. Suddenly, a voice asks if they made her cry. Bang replies that's not the case, but the invisible woman shushes her. She holds Bang close to her and says that she hates it when someone messes with what's her. She asks seriously about who made her cry. Yojin replies that they don't know what she's talking about. They just need to talk with Bang. The girl activates her invisibility and disappears from the spot. The girl then dashes forward and tries to kick Yojin, but Miziang saves her. However, he gets blasted away by her kick. The girl then goes for a punch onto Yojin, and she tries to defend herself. Suddenly, the girl takes a closer look at her face and gets interested. She touches her hair from the back and says that it would be a waste to kill her. She then bites Yojin's ear. Yojin hurls an attack at her but the girl steps back. The girl, while licking Yojin's blood, asks if she's an Insector. Yojin transforms and asks how she dared to bite her. She then hurls an attack at her in anger. The girl dodges the attack and comments that it's not bad. She believes that the guy she kicked earlier must also be an Insector. Miziang transforms into ant form and dashes towards her. He punches her but misses his target. He looks back and the girl replies that he won't be able to get her with those moves. The girl, whose name is Hannah, says that hiding in plain sight is her skill. Yojin asks what they should do now, and Miziang replies that they should repeat their attacks. Bang looks in astonishment upon discovering that Miziang is also an Insector. Miziang uses Code Rally to strengthen his arm and then lunges forward to attack her. Yojin also uses her technique, Radiant Star, to restrict Hannah's movement. Hannah gets annoyed at their silly game and says she will end this quickly. Miziang lands a hit on her, but she blocks his attack with her hand. She then takes out her weapon and attacks Miziang with it. The blade pierces through his body and he cries in agony. She notices red blood coming from him and asks why it's red. Seeing Miziang in trouble, Yojin rushes to his aid. Hannah also prepares his second weapon on other hand, and stabs Yojin's arm with it. Yojin asks what that feeble attack was. It didn't hurt at all. The girl drinks Miziang's blood and says that it tastes like a human. The place where both of them got hit began to swell up. The girl says the code detonate and an explosion takes place. Miziang and Yojin stand while gasping heavily. Hannah asks if they are tired already. She is just getting started. Suddenly, Bang comes in between and tells Hannah to stop. She says that they are her clients. They told her that they wanted to check out the pill, so she told them to come here. Hannah asks if that's the truth and Bang agrees. She looks questionably at her, but cheers up later. She asks if that was the case, then she should have told her earlier. Hannah jokes about how she almost killed them. She shows him the pill and says that she only has one left. Miziang replies that they don't need it right now, they just wanted to know what it was. Hannah explains that it's a pill that boosts an Insector's strength upon consumption. But if a human consumes it, they will transform into a larva. Plus, consuming that larva is a lot more potent than taking the pill itself. Yojin asks if she's serious. Does she plan to consume humans after they turn into larvae? Hannah notices two people jogging by and thinks she'll give them a demonstration. She stops the man and they get amazed at seeing her beauty. She puts the worm into one of man's mouth. After that, he starts transforming into an Insector. He transforms into a larva, and his partner gets horrified. Yojin sighs, as they will have to deal with this again. Hannah says that they can consider this as a token of apology for earlier. They will become powerful if they eat that human larva. She leaves along with Bang and tells them to enjoy their meal. If they want more, then they can ask her at Club 6 Shot. Yojin says that this situation is bad and asks what they should do now. The larva looks at the tasty human near him and the man cries for help. Miziang saves the man by striking the insector with an uppercut. He then slams him into the ground. After that, he starts bashing the shit out of that larva, and Yojin tells him to stop. She asks if he has lost, she told him to stop. She asks if he will really eat it. She encourages him to stand on moral grounds. However, Miziang replies that this is a test. He tells his ants to feast on him, and they soon start devouring the larva. Yojin gets surprised and asks if he's serious. The man who was his friend once, asks how there are so many ants. Yojin asks if he really has to go this far, he was a human moments ago. However, Miziang coldly replies that he isn't anymore. She thought that he was different from other insectors, but now he's doing all of this for power. He's no different from apex insects. However, Miziang tells her to shut up and watch. Yojin gets surprised to see the larva turning back into a human. The ants crawl all over his body, and he begins to shrink in size. Yojin asks how he's doing this. He replies that he felt the same unstable presence from Bang before. There is a worm that causes such changes inside the human body. The man soon vomits out the worm. Yojin wonders if these worms are the pills they are giving to others. The ants began to feast on the worm, and Yojin asks if won't that affect him. Miziang replies that he'll see when they return to him. Miziang calls back his ants and they return to him through the hole. As they began entering, Miziang feels sudden uneasiness. His veins pop out and Yojin worriedly asks if he's alright. Miziang, while fighting back his insector, tells her to stay back. As more ants enter his body, he screams in pain. The scene shifts to Six-Shot Club. A person is having fun with some wine and women, when a bodyguard tells him that she's here. He tells him to let her in. Hannah comes in and says that she doesn't need his damn permission to be let in. Daejun, who's another apex insector, replies that he's the boss here. Hannah picks up a drink and says that there's no boss between him and her. She gulps down the beer to relieve her stress. She then taunts Daejun if he would like to have it. Daejun asks what happened to her arm, did she get into a fight? Hannah sighs and says that those kids had a lot to bite. Dae suggests that she should have invited them to the lawless frontier then. Since they have got some troublemakers on the deck, they could use some more members. Hannah asks him the reason she was called here. Dae tells her not to be impatient. He says 50 pills vanished yesterday. Hannah asks if he got robbed or something. Dae says that she has no right to give him that kind of attitude. He covers the distance between Bang and himself and smashes her head on the wall. He says that the culprit is her. Even the glass shatters from impact, and the people wonder what's going on. He asks how she dared to steal their goods. He'll chew her up until there's nothing left. Hannah then points his needle at Daejun, prompting him to let Bang go. Seeing their boss in danger, the other two girls also charge forward. The situation ends up in a deadlock, each one of them holding weapons against the other face. Hannah tells him not to mess with things that belong to her. Dae asks what will she do about the pills she stole. He presses Bang's head harder and demands an answer. Hannah also pierces Dae's neck with her needle. She tells him to let her go. Bang replies that the guy who made her like this, she made him swallow all those pills for revenge. Dae chuckles on hearing it and says that it's boring. He says he knew what she did with those pills. He lets go of Bang and Hannah asks if she's alright. Suddenly, Dae laughs like a big man and says that she's more messed up than her owner. Bang asks if he knew that already, and Hannah asks why he did all of this then. Dae says that he put a tail on her last night after he found out what she was doing. They should be on their way. He can't believe that she shoved 50 pills into one human. He proclaims that the larva belongs to him. The scene shifts to Bug Reaper Cooperation pursuing a larva insector. They are chasing the glasses guy and think it looks different from others. They soon stab the larva from 3 directions and he screeches in pain. He tries saying why they are doing this to him. Soon enough, Pyo shows up and slices at him with his sword. He tells him to shut up as he's being too loud. He leaves the scene and instructs his boys to bag him up. Suddenly, the ground changes into mud and the Bug Reaper team gets stuck in it. Almost half of their body gets stuck in the mud, and they ask Pyo for help. Pyo sees 2 insectors have shown up and inquires about their identity. Min taunts him to carry on their packing. They are stronger than them, so they will easily snatch this larva from them. Min's buddy also says that he's excited to fight them. He talks about dealing with them quickly.